What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. Jackson. Let us go.
All right, you guys. So first and foremost, I want to say that it makes me so happy to see that there are still issues that can unite people on the left and the right, that there is not a gray area when it comes to pedophilia and when it comes to grooming children. And that is the reason that hashtag Balenciaga Groomers has been trending for over a week now. People are upset. People are going after the Kardashians. And it feels like finally we are agreeing on a moral issue. I love that. Except there is one group of people that are noticeably silent. People in Hollywood. They seem like they just want this to go away. They have no interest in leaning in. And this is bizarre because they love leaning in on political issues. They love cancel culture, right? Hollywood loves perpetuating cancel culture. Let you be found in a MAGA hat and they want you canceled. Let George Floyd be killed. They want black squares. They want something to scream about and something to say, I am a virtuous person. So it's bizarre that they're being super silent. And of course, this is leading to conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories, one that keeps popping up, which is that there is an elite pedophile ring operating within Hollywood. That seems crazy, right? I was thinking about this and thinking about the Epstein case. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, we all know that case. We have been following it in the news. People believe that he was murdered in prison. Other people believe that he legitimately hung himself. Doesn't matter. I'm not interested in going down that path. What I'm interested in covering today, though, is something that I never spoke about before, which is that when this case was going on, a lot of people were sending me information claiming, get this, and I'm going to be clear, this sounded to me like a conspiracy theory, that Jeffrey Epstein was a part of our intelligence agencies, right? That he was actually operating a blackmail ring. And this is the reason why nobody would prosecute him, because he was a protected CIA asset, right? So the idea is that Jeffrey Epstein would get very powerful people to attend his parties. He would bring them out on the Lolita Express. He would bring him to his island in the Caribbean. Remember, he somehow had enough money to purchase an entire island, Little St. James. And he would get them to sleep with women, maybe unbeknownst to them that these women were very young. And then he'd have blackmail. He would record the acts, and then suddenly he had control over people all around the world. Because, hey, if you don't do what we say, we're going to show this video of you sleeping with a 14-year-old. That sounds crazy, right? I thought it sounded crazy, and so I never reported on it. I just sort of stayed out of it and just reported on the strangeness. It was absolutely, of course, it was bizarre that this man seemed to keep falling through the cracks of our legal system, despite all of the evidence that he was involved in sex crimes. And by the way, this conspiracy theory of him operating a blackmail ring didn't come from nowhere. Actually, it came from somewhere. It came from Alexander Acosta, being just one individual that leaned into this conspiracy theory. He was the former U.S. attorney. If you don't remember Alexander Acosta, he was a former U.S. attorney who was also selected by President Trump to be the labor secretary of the United States. And throughout his confirmation hearings, a lot of people in the press were saying this guy allowed Jeffrey Epstein to get off scot-free. And so throughout his interviews with the Trump administration, he was asked about that. And he asked the question, is the Epstein case going to cause a problem pertaining to his confirmation hearings? He explained breezily, apparently, that back in the day, he had just one meeting on the Epstein case. He'd cut the non-prosecution deal with one of Epstein's attorneys because he, Alexander Acosta, had been told to back off, that Epstein was above his pay grade. He said, quote, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, he told interviewers in the Trump transition. So that obviously makes people believe that it's true, that Alexander Acosta was simply told, hey, you got to let this guy go. He's an asset. And that would sort of make sense as to why he kept slipping through the cracks of the legal system. But there's more. There's more stuff that is the reason that people believe that this is all true. In case you missed this in the news, Jeffrey Epstein, and by the way, you can find these articles in NBC News, The Washington Post. This is not stuff that I'm finding on some conspiracy website. This is known in the mainstream media that all of this is true. So Jeffrey Epstein used a foreign passport with a fake name to enter several countries in the 1980s, including the United Kingdom, Spain, and Saudi Arabia. That is weird. The passport contained a photo of Epstein with a different name and listed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia. That's according to federal prosecutors. Now, how bizarre is that? They open a safe and they find a passport, a working passport, which allows him to get into all of these countries. And it's a fake name, which lists his residence in Saudi Arabia. Who would have the power to issue a fake passport to Jeffrey Epstein? It is a fact that he had a fake passport. It is a fact that he used that fake passport to enter different countries. It is a fact that nobody can explain how he was wealthy enough to purchase an island. It is a fact that he kept slipping through the legal system. It is a fact that Alexander Acosta said that he was told to let him go. Who would have that much power? I'm just going to ask you the questions. I don't even need to spin a conspiracy theory. I just need to actually present the facts to you. Then, of course, was the strange case of Ghislaine Maxwell and her father. Her father died under mysterious circumstances. This is from a Washington Post article in 1991. Her father's name was Robert Maxwell. The article says, Maxwell, whose body was recovered from the Atlantic Ocean off the Canary Islands last Tuesday after he disappeared from his yacht, was buried late this afternoon in Judaism's most prestigious spot, the cemetery of Jerusalem's Mount of Olives, facing the Western Wall. His funeral service in Jerusalem's Hall of the People was attended by a host of Israeli politicians, led by Prime Minister Shamir and President Herzog, who eulogized the self-made tycoon as a man cast in a heroic mold. Okay, so the conspiracy theories online was that Jeffrey Epstein was linked to the Mossad and the CIA and that he was an asset. And what added to that theory, I should say, because I cannot confirm this, I don't want you to walk away and say, Candace, confirm this is true, was that Ghislaine Maxwell's father had a lot of power in Israel. I mean, how powerful a person you have to be to get both the president and the prime minister to attend your funeral. And he also died in mysterious circumstances, right? Just kind of drowned in a yacht. Now, why am I bringing this up today? Obviously, because as I said, I was happy to see that people have been so vocal and so consistent in their response against Balenciaga's campaign and realizing that something weird is happening in Hollywood. And it seems to me that I would never suggest that all of these celebrities that are staying quiet are all pedophiles. That would seem too ridiculous to me. But I do think they're fearful of something. And maybe it's something vain, like Kim Kardashian just not wanting to not get those free clothes from Balenciaga. Or maybe they're scared. Maybe they understand that there is something that is more powerful than them, and they have seen people that have tried to speak against powerful systems, right? And they've had their entire lives ruined. Something very, very strange happened, and I want to bring this to your attention because it requires your attention, it requires your thought, and I want you to focus on this. There was a man, he was a cryptocurrency millionaire. And as you know, there's a lot going on in the crypto world right now. And one of the things that is going on is that a lot of very young crypto millionaires and billionaires are being found dead. In the last couple of weeks, 3 of them have been found dead in mysterious circumstances. Okay? So Nikolai Meshugian, pardon me, 29 years old, he died on October 28th, hours after tweeting that he feared the CIA and the Mossad were going to murder him. It's not a conspiracy theory. He tweeted this actually. His tweet read, quote, "The CIA and the Mossad and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking, entrapment, blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands. They are going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. A blackmail ring operating out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. The Caribbean, obviously, one thing that's true is that Epstein had an island in the Caribbean, right? Just off the coast of St. Thomas and Tortola. There was an island, Little St. James. That is where his island was. And again, it was a theory that he was a part of a blackmail ring. But that sounds crazy. This guy tweets this. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's true. He tweets that. And then what happens? 4 hours later, he was found dead. He was found dead by a surfer in Puerto Rico. And you might think, okay, Candace, well, maybe he went for a swim and he happened to drown. Maybe he didn't know that he couldn't swim. Maybe the waves were bad that day and he went for a swim. I want to believe that. because I would much rather believe that there is not something sinister going on in our world. I'd much rather believe that this was just odd timing that he drowned. Except the facts around this case are that he was found in all of his clothes, as well as having his wallet in his pocket, okay? So you would have to believe that he regularly went for a swim in all of his clothes and with his wallet in Puerto Rico after tweeting that he thought that the CIA and the Mossad were going to kill him. That's what you would have to believe if you wanted to stay on the side of believing that there is not something more sinister happening. That wasn't his only tweet, by the way. He also tweeted 3 possible futures for me. 1, suicided by CIA. 2, CIA brain damage slave asset. 3, worst nightmare of people who effed with me up until now. I am sure these are the only options. He tweeted that on September 4th. And yeah, that if I read that tweet and he was still alive, I would think that he was just crazy, but he's not. He is dead. He's not the only person in the crypto world, as I mentioned earlier, that has died. There was another man named Tantan Kullander, 30 years old, who died in his sleep last week, which is bizarre. And there was another one who just died yesterday. His name is Vyacheslav Taran, pardon my pronunciation here, 53 years old. He died after his helicopter plunged near the resort town in Switzerland after taking off from Lausanne on a clear day. They have no understanding of why this helicopter would have crashed. There was no weather issues. And there was another person that was supposed to get onto the helicopter that last minute decided not to. So, yeah, it is getting a bit strange. And I am not sure what is going on. I do not believe that all of these people are dying in mysterious circumstances and that they're all just happening upon their deaths accidentally. I am fearful to even have this discussion. You know, I think it's a scary idea. It's scary. My brain does not want to believe that there can be this many pedophiles in power. It does not want to believe that there can be something sinister happening that our CIA, that our intelligence agencies are involved in. But I do know that this story scares me, and it's important that I bring it to the forefront and that you know that it is taking place. And I will just read your comments and see what you all think about it. And that's all I'm going to say about that.